All right, today we're going to talk about how to go ahead and set up a Stripe account. In this training, I'm going to go over the most basic essentials that are required to get this up and running. We'll provide some more supplementary trainings to give you some more details on the more complex or specific pieces. And with this, I'll give you some advice on how to get this going. So, following the link that's in the bottom of this module here, you're going to get taken to this page after you go ahead and create a login and a password. Likely you'll have to click into a yellow bar at the top and want to go ahead and click fill out business information. You'll see a test mode, and on the far right hand side you'll need to go ahead and click create account or finish creating account. So first things first, business location. That's simply the country you're operating in. So for most of you that's going to be the US. Next one down is going to be the type of business, and so most of the time you're going to be working on as an individual. And so this would be if you haven't filed any paperwork with the government. So if you haven't filed for an EIN, which is an identification number registered with the IRS, or you haven't filed any paperwork with a state to be an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, you're going to go ahead and select individual. So for most of you, you're going to select individual. This one, however, is a company. Went ahead and I filled out an EIN number with the IRS to create that, and so I have filed some paperwork. And so since I have that, I'm going to go ahead and select a sole proprietorship, which is how I filed that paperwork for the EIN number. So with that, go ahead and click continue. The next most important bit is going to be the legal business name. Now in almost every case, this is going to be your legal name. If you have filed paperwork as an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, the legal business name is going to be the legal name that you put on that paperwork. Now if you haven't done that, it's going to be as simple as your legal name. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. The next one is going to be the employer identification number, which again, if you filed with the IRS to apply for one, then you can go ahead and enter that number in here. If not, it's simply going to be your social security number. So once you get that filled in, you're going to go ahead and fill in your business name, which if it's operating name different than your legal name, you're going to want to type that in there. So you're going to put in whatever you call your business. In this case, I'm just going to call it Lynn Consulting. Next one down, you're going to see they pre-filled United States because I already told them I'm in the United States. And so I'm going to go ahead and type in the address. And it has this nice drop down, so I can go ahead and jump to it, have it fill in the rest for me. Next thing down is industry. So what do I do? Now you may think, oh man, I have no idea. One of the things that's really important to consider in this case is the future state of financing options. This is an advanced technique under payment methods in Stripe that we'll touch on in a later training. For now, please just go ahead and select the type of services that you are offering to the best of your knowledge. And if there is an issue with the type you've selected, you can go ahead and look at the various payment method limitations. So things like education and medical services and other types of businesses are restricted from using certain payment methods. And so this is really going to impact you once you get into more advanced techniques. The good news is you can update this at any time. You can reach out to the Stripe chat support and get this updated. So again, in this case, just go ahead and select what you believe yourself to be, and that'll get you going. So in this case, I'm going to just kind of look through and see what am I doing here. So consulting is one that's a limitation. So unless you really believe you are a consultant, it's probably not going to be good for the future payment options you need to select. So you can go ahead and use the search thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and select accounting, auditing, or tax prep for myself. Again, that's just what I chose as the best option for this business. Many of you would likely pick something closer to music. So music or other media. If you're selling like online web things, maybe it's other digital goods. If you're doing just entertainment, basically you just kind of have to go through and select the one that you believe is the best fit for you. Business website. Don't get tripped up on this. If you don't have an existing business website, use your Facebook, use whatever you have. So just go ahead and type in what you believe is the best fit of your website. It's just going to be a way for them to validate that you're a real existing company. And so most likely you've already created a Facebook page or an Instagram page. Don't overthink it. Put in the URL as you need. So once we go ahead and get the business website in, again, Facebook's more than enough. We can go ahead and add a product description. So this is just a simple thing about what you offer, whatever that may be. In this case, I'm just going to say bookkeeping and move along. Account representative. So add or select a person that has the authority to represent your organization. So you can add someone new, and basically this first person is just going to be yourself. Another thing to note that is if you're in some kind of a partnership, or if you have other owners, maybe you're a multiple person setup, you are going to need to list every individual that owns 25% or more of the company. So for most of you, this is simply going to be your legal name. Just go ahead and get that entered in there and you're going to be all good. And the next thing, an email. So go ahead and enter a business email, personal email. If you don't have a business email, highly suggest you just go make one on Google or any other service. They're free, easy to have, and you're going to need to have an email where you're sending all of your business related communications. It's going to be so much easier if you have one place to send that to. You don't need to get fancy by buying a web domain and buying an email, and you can update this at any time. Then I'm going to jump down to the public details section. So add public details for customers. This information may be visible in payment statements, invoices, and receipts. So that's basically just saying what's going to show up on your invoices, your checkout pages, and so on. So go ahead and add the statement descriptor. This would be basically your business name is the best thing to put here. That way when they see their bill, they know exactly who it is that they paid. So if they get a credit card receipt, that's what they're going to see. Shortened descriptor. Oftentimes there's a number of characters that are limited, so you might want to go ahead and create a shorter example. You'll find out how many characters are allowed by going ahead and attempting it. So here I end at and then I'm just going to go ahead and do Lynn Consult and just leave it at there. And then customer support number. So this is where you type in your phone number that you want to use for your business. If you don't have a business phone number, one thing I would suggest, go to Google Voice, create a Google Voice number. Now the one thing you'll need to create a Google Voice number is just going to be the ability to confirm that with an existing landline. So if you already have a Google Voice number, you're going to need a different landline or some kind of mobile phone to tie that to. But there's multiple services that you can get that. Worst case scenario, put in your personal phone number. Not a big deal. So go ahead and do that if you need to. So you can have the option here to show phone number on receipts. Unless you want people to be calling you, you might want to go ahead and hide that. If you're okay with showing it, then it's a great thing to leave. Maybe they have a question and you can quickly address it. Think through if you want to show it or not. And then contact support address. If it's any different than what you previously entered, go ahead and get that updated. And after that, just go ahead and click continue. Do you have a business bank account? If not, that might be a great thing to go ahead and get set up. There's multiple institutions all over that'll make it very easy for you to go ahead and create a business account using your tax information that you've already entered, whether that be an EIN or your social security number. So you can go ahead and select your bank. If you open it at a major institution, you can go ahead and select any of these. If you don't have a business bank account, then you can go ahead and use a personal bank account. Although, I want to caution, that is a very bad idea. There's multiple reasons that I could go through for the legal reasons that say why you should not do that. It's very, very important that you go ahead and create a business bank account. And so that business bank account, again, it's going to require that you match your business name and your legal business name. So if I was to go ahead and create a business bank account for this, I'm going to want to go ahead and make sure that when I register that business bank account, I make sure the legal name matches exactly this. And if they ask me for doing business as name or the business name I like to go by, make sure that matches exactly, or you might have an issue syncing it with Stripe. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's very, very important. So I'll go ahead and do that. If you do it at a major institution, you can go ahead and search for your bank here, or you can go ahead and enter the bank details manually instead. So once I go ahead and enter that legal information, it's going to go ahead and pop up. And then it's going to ask me a couple of things about what kind of payout schedule do I want. This really has to do with accounting. You're going to get a number of transactions. If you link certain accounts, they may limit you to a number of transactions. Some business bank accounts may charge you per transaction. If they do, please don't use that bank. There's much better banks out there. So I usually like to leave it every day. I want the money as fast as I can get it into my business bank account because that lets me do what I need with it. And then you can do that automatically. If you really want to move it manually, you can go ahead and create a manual where you move it manually. Basically, you're using Stripe to hold your money. But again, I like to have it processed every day Some people prefer a week. Some people prefer it once a month. Again, it just depends on your situation. So I'm going to choose automatic every day. Next thing is going to keep your account secure. This is so important. Please do not skip the two-factor authentication step. Please go ahead and create this. You can go ahead and click continue if you want to skip it for now, but keep in mind, this is your business. If your account is compromised in any way, the happening in the first place, but it also helps you recover it if you have a two-factor authentication. So Authenticator app is a good way, SMS is a good way. These are showing checked because I'm making an example account where I've already got both of those set up. So please go ahead and create these. At very least, use a mobile number. Next thing it's going to guide you through is sales tax calculation. Now, in most cases, when you're selling services, those services are not taxable. Now, it's important to note that there are many locations around the world where that's not true. So at any point in the future, you could sell into a country that does require the service you sold to be taxed. And depending on the rules of that country, you may need to pay that tax immediately once you've processed it. The good news is Stripe is going to tell you that as soon as you do cross that line. For most of you, you won't need to worry about it because you're selling services. And so you kind of get into these. As soon as you get into what these are, you can select different things. You know, you can go through digital products. They all have varying different. For most of you, you're going to select general services. Again, that's not legal advice. That's just what I believe most of you are going to end up doing. If you have any doubt on this, great to talk to a lawyer about it. But again, most of you are going to be selling some general services. Moving on forward, climate contributions. Do it if you like, but if you want to go ahead and do this, feel free. Just type. All right, now you can see in the final setup, I have all of the important information filled in and everything is good to go. So now the last thing for me to do is to make sure that this information is all correct, and then I go ahead and hit the agree and submit button. Once I do that, they may take some time to review the information that's been put in. They may also immediately approve your account. It just depends on the complexity of the information you put in and if everything matches up properly. In this case, everything matched up properly. You can see I'm ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and go into this setup guide. So here we go. Set up the account. We've got everything verified. This is because I've done it previously. You're going to want to verify your email. They're going to tell you about your business, and so you're going to want to go ahead and add in information about your business. Choose how to use Stripe and charge your first customer. So you can do things like set up payment links. It'll guide you through that. Excellent services. Please use these. And then lastly is for developers. You're not going to be using that very much. So now we have a working Stripe account, and we can go into more detailed things like payment methods. And so we'll cover that in future trainings.